the street lights lit this town like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We're gonna light it up now. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up tonight. We're gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We're gonna light it up now.
Good morning. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. It's been a busy morning already. Chris from the Daily Atheist Morning Show took the morning off to go do some pup-related things, as I understand it. So we were just doing another opportunistic morning show over at Ryan's, the Java and Jugs crew. And now we're over here. Oh, goodness, it's an adventure. But this time, we are joined by the one and only Deviant Outcast. Hello, Deviant. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
Hello, I am awesome. I also am still kind of nursing a migraine, but it's getting better. So if I become completely incoherent more than usual, please boink me on the head and I will be back.
Well, that would be worse. I would give you a hug. I wouldn't bump you on the
Oh,
head.
oh, thank you. So nice to meet you, Kelly, and you too, Ember. I mean, I've met you before, but still, I've never been on your channel before.
I think that's
Yes,
true.
it's
We
wonderful meeting
usually
you
hung out
as well, Deviant.
on other channels. Joe, the Kentucky Atheist, comes to
Yes.
mind, but
Mhm.
probably else. I don't know. I can't keep track of all the freaking channels. That's why I have lists on my website, betterthanember.com. The creators tab will bring up the
Oh.
list of all the skeptic, humanist, and science friend channels I know of that aren't evil, which is a plus. Um, but yeah, it's been a bit of a rough start to the week. I mean, as people who joined me last night are aware, I'm currently having an extremely severe ear infection. I'm on nuclear antibiotics for it. and painkillers, and the rest of my system is not handling it well. I've already had to go be ill a couple of times this morning. So if I have to escape suddenly, that's why I will be back as quickly as I can. Hopefully we're good now though.
Yeah.
Hopefully. We'll see.
Don't overdo
Um
yourself.
yeah, we're
I
trying
know,
not
I
to die.
know.
It just we do our best to, stick around on the mortal coil. It's like the objective. People always talk about what is the purpose of life. Try not to die for as long as you can. That's item number 1 on the agenda,
Yes.
Holy crow. But I am also joined once again by my faithful co-host, the Queen of Detroit, Ms. Kelly King, who may have stepped away for a second. We all do that from time to time, but she is
I'm
here.
still here, but I was
There
eating
she
my
is.
breakfast. I didn't want to eat my breakfast sandwich on the show. I
That's
stopped
fair.
eating it.
Yeah.
I'll press camera off. So I'm Kelly King, the Detroit Atheist Queen, as she mentioned before. So that's where you can find me under most social media outlets, Detroit Atheist Queen. But I am the moderator for and the technical person under Black Non-Believers channel in the cut. That's our podcast show that comes every first and third Saturday of every month, where we interview a prominent Black or other type of minority figure in the atheist community, and other things as well. But that's mostly what our channel focuses on. We're trying to think of other things that we can do on our channel, but as of right now, that seems to be fitting for us.
Yeah.
So
It's
come
it's
over, watch
a
our
good
channel,
intersection.
follow, like, comment, subscribe to our channel, and you can watch the beautiful Mandisa and sometimes Edith Gray, who's one of our Atlanta uh, Black Non-Believer members, as they do the hosting of the shows. Because I'm a little camera shy. I'm kind of opening up a little bit more, as you see.
Mhm.
But I was a little scared to be on the camera, so that's why I never was on the camera. But I might
No,
start
that's
being on the
that's
camera
fair.
more with Black Non-Believers as well.
Yeah.
But
A
yes,
lot
that's
of
a little bit
people have
about me in a nutshell.
a little hurdle to get over. The first couple of times on camera, it's easy. My goodness, like almost everyone I know who started doing lives, at least after I was part of the community, has wanted someone to be there for their first live, so that if everything went to hell, at the very least they could do the banter thing. But it's not as intimidating as you think. The hardest part is remembering to look at the damn camera.
I'm not doing that right now. I'm
I
typing.
know. It's all good. And I mean, there's entire shows where bloop, everybody's off camera and it's just talking circles, and that can work
Mhm.
too, depending on what it is you're talking about, or how you're covering it. We may also be joined by some of the other ladies. They may pop in if they want to, and opportunity warrants and so forth. But today's show, I wanted to focus on Deviant because
Ooh.
she has a shit ton of knowledge and I want some of it. So
I'm just here as the side person.
yeah,
you're,
it's all
Teach
good.
teach me,
you're the eye
deviant.
candy.
Yes, I'll be the eye candy, but not for now though, because I'm gonna press my camera off now.
Oh no.
Yeah, for sure. Oh goodness. So Deviant,
Yes.
is it fair to say that you yourself are an Egyptian immortal?
Yes. Probably.
Probably, yes.
Uh, as long as you remember my name and speak it, I will forever be.
I mean, that's kind of true from a philosophical standpoint. Like
It
everyone
is.
who has ever lived has left ripples in reality, things that they've changed, things they've done. Even if their name is forgotten, the actions they took have altered the course of the whole future, and they will
Hmm.
continue rippling forward across all of time, at least as long as the Earth is around.
Yeah. After that, it's slightly more in the non-air because unlike what Matt Powell thinks, there is not air in space.
Hmm. Well, I mean, he did say the air in space is different,
That's
and
true.
he's kind of not wrong. Oh my goodness. Another person that I do not understand why. Maybe his entire fan base are people who are just there to laugh at the crazy shit he says. It's not unthinkable. I mean, there are people who've been YouTube famous before because they are themselves a lol cow. His former boyfriend, for example. You
Hmm.
know, I mean, Dr. Blowwind, he does have a few true believers, but the majority of his audience are people there to laugh at the crazy shit he says. Like
Yes.
our friend of the community, Big Bad Mama, whom I also
Hmm.
got to meet at the ARC protest and also gives wonderful hugs. Yeah, Big Bad Mama is constantly on Kent's behind, shall we say,
Yes.
about the crazy shit he says, and it's fantastic. But I digress. I suppose the best place to start is where we left off last week, and that would be you wanted to add some more information about the goddess called Eye of Ra.
Yes. So I came in very late last week, and basically just caught the fact that you were talking about ancient Egypt, which always perks my ears,
Mhm.
and also that you were talking about Sekhmet, who happens to be my favorite goddess from ancient Egypt. She's also known as the Eye of Ra. Um, she's a lion-headed goddess, and so when it comes to the Egyptian pantheon, things very very quickly becomes very complex and kind of not convoluted, but kind of, because you have a time span of over 3,000 years, and
Mhm.
gods and goddesses rise and fall in popularity depending on the ruling pharaoh and who they are promoting and so forth. You also have multiple creation stories, and even the stories that we do have are maybe not as written in stone. I made myself laugh. I'm sorry. I
Right,
didn't
because they're
think
kind of
I would.
literally written in stone.
Yes, exactly. I'm sorry. Look, if I'm not going to laugh at my jokes, then who is?
That's fair.
Yeah. Uh, anyway, so therefore, you might hear that uh, Ira is the same as Hathor, which is true,
So it's
but
like
it
an evolution thing?
exactly, they kind of, gods and goddesses kind of melt together, and then they separate into uh, being like, Ra is a perfect example. You have multiple uh, versions of Ra, and you have these gods, like you have Amun, and then you have Amun Ra, and you also have uh, just Amun and just Ra, and there are so many variations of this, and I'm almost completely lost in what I was going to say. Um, so yes, Sekhmet. He's
Yay!
she's one of the oldest uh, goddesses that we know of. One of. Um, she belongs to the Helio, Helio, Heliopolitan Heliopolis.
City
Uh,
of the
tri-
Sun.
yes, triad. together with, so she has a consort being the god Ptah, who is the god of, he's a creator god. He's also the god of craftsmanship, because he, according to the creation myth that him and Sekhmet belongs to, he molds humanity on a potter's wheel. Before that, he also does something that people might recognize, being that he speaks uh, the world into existence. He speaks the gods into existence. So he's the first
Mm-hmm.
god rising from the noon, which is the primordial waters. And he,
It's
by
shockingly similar.
uh, yes,
Yeah.
by speaking the word, uh, things, gods and land and so forth come into existence. Uh, so don't come at me with the nonsense that the Bible holds something unique and presented for the first time. I believe there might be something in Sumerian myth that's similar to this. The fun thing when you um, what's the word, specialize, when you specialize into something, you you know absolutely nothing about anything else.
That's true.
I know absolutely nothing about Sumer or Mesopotamia. I know a bit, but not, I can't really speak on it. uh, but so yes, these two are married. They have a son named Nefertum, which means something like uh, beautiful picture, or divinely good picture, basically. He is not a god that you see a lot of, but there is a depiction of him from the tomb of Tutankhamun, where he has the face of Tutankhamun, or it might also actually in reality be Nefertiti, but it's in his grave and it's supposed to be him, with a lotus flower on his head.
Ah,
Yes, it's very pretty. I also love lotus flowers very much.
Yes.
But
Beautiful.
so that's her family, so to speak. And uh, she is, the most well-known story about her is one where Ra is fed up with humanity because they no
Do you
longer,
blame
he's,
her?
no, no.
this happens to gods rather a lot.
It
Some of them
does.
send floods and some of them
Yeah.
send their daughters, but whatever.
Mhm.
They're like these damn humans.
Because he's grown old, so humanity has lost interest in him, and he's kind of an old grumpy dude, uh, feeling these bastards aren't thankful enough. I'm gonna kill them all.
They need to get
But
off my lawn.
exactly, but he doesn't really want to do the job himself. Something we also might recognize from elsewhere.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
So he sends a woman.
mhm.
Hmm.
So he sends Sekhmet to annihilate humanity. But, and she does so. She goes down and she just slaughters them. Uh, and Ra goes, maybe I acted a bit too hastily on this one. Uh, but Sekhmet now has a taste for blood. So how to stop her? Aha! I flood the entire the desert with beer, because beer in ancient Egypt was red to the color. It was made from bread, and it gave it a red tint, so it looked like blood. And Sekhmet goes wild and just drinks all of this beer and becomes super sloshed and falls asleep. And when she wakes up, she's hungover and doesn't remember what she was doing. And it's like, what am I doing? What happened? And she gets the fuck out of there, and humanity is saved.
I'm
So
sorry, I have drank beer and I've cut my lips. So I'll taste a little bit of blood before, and they don't. They're not the same to me. I don't know.
right,
I
like
would have
she's
tasted a
got a wine
little bit
head.
of beer. Like, this don't taste like blood to me.
It's but it is interesting.
Details.
Right,
For my
right.
food.
Minor
Yeah.
details. But yeah, it's
That's
kind
a-
of a thing where like beer solves all the world's beer can stop an apocalypse, and that may be a
Hmm.
first in ancient history. It's the first time, at least that I'm aware of, where not only was there an apocalypse, but instead of just like saying, oops, my bad after it's done, like so many gods do,
Hmm.
they actually did something about it. Like they
Yes.
didn't just have an apocalypse, but put a stop to it, and with
Hmm.
beer, no less. How divine! Here's Jesus turning
Exactly.
water into wine, and the other gods are like, no, 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 no.
You got
Beer's the
some.
good shit.
Hmm.
Yeah, you
Oh,
got some blood in the beer.
fun detail.
Apparently,
Beer in ancient Egyptian is derp. Derp. It sounds like a burp. Derp.
Derp. I thought you said dirt at first. You said
okay.
derp. Okay, derp.
It's kind of got that phonetics thing. Like a lot of
Yeah.
really old languages, the words for things are the sound that means the thing. There's a term
Yep.
for it in English, but I forget it at the moment. But I mean, we still do a lot of things like that, like
Hmm.
honk, right? Like a
Yeah.
goose's honk. It's called that because that's kind of what a honk sounds like.
Hmm. Oh yeah. The Egyptians are big into that sort of thing. Like cat is meow.
Yeah,
Donkey is yeah.
yeah, it makes
Like
sense.
like
And
yeah.
it can teach us a lot about where language probably came from. Of course, we'll never know for sure without a time machine, but it stands to reason that once humans gain the ability to make controllable noises, like many
Hmm.
other animals do, I mean, hell, parrots mimic our speech. Several
Yep.
other birds do too, but that's a side thing. Is we would just like when we want to refer to the thing, we would make the noise that makes clear what the thing is, and then that became vocabulary, and
Hmm.
then things started to develop from there. You started to get a grammatical structure so that you could be more precise about what you wanted to say about the thing that you had a noun for, like we started adding
Exactly.
verbs and so forth.
Yeah. I'm very Jess, my darling Jess. Language came from Tower of Babel. Duh.
It's true, it is written, it is known. But yeah, that's I mean, it's a fascinating thing to think about, but it is a side topic. It is indeed a
Ye-
tangent, which is why we have
yes.
that as an emoji here on this channel. Um, but like the main thing is like you were leading out with, we're
Yes.
talking about 3,000 years of history from the
Hmm.
present. We look back and
Yeah.
it looks like ancient Egypt, but
Hmm.
like that's a span from the time of the alleged Christ through 1,000 years from now. That's an
Yep.
incredibly vast span of time.
Hmm.
And of course shit is gonna change. Holy crow.
And so this is a bit of a thought experiment, and I know others have said it before, but I've found it to be very effective because people do have an issue with real uh, conceptualizing large periods of time, especially when
Mhm.
you're not. It's not something you do about it. I talked to EQs, I think their name is EQUUS in the chat
Oh,
on
yeah,
the last
Equus-ish.
quiz.
None of us can pronounce it properly, but we just kinda do our best, and
Okay,
yeah.
good. um, they said they were a historian. No, wait. Never mind. Where were I going with that?
The
Yeah,
the
large
compression of time
periods
effect.
of time. Uh, the fact that so everyone knows Cleopatra. When she met, or rather, uh, Caesar met Cleopatra, they went on a Nile cruise, looking at all the monuments, and they went to the pyramids. And this happened around year 40, let me think, for year 50 BCE. Um, at that point in time, the pyramids were 600 years older than the time period from when that happened, when their meeting happened, to us sitting here today.
Right. Yeah, I've heard a variant of that saying something like the famous Cleopatra, because she's not the only
No,
Cleopatra,
she's the seventh.
but the famous one is closer to today than to when the pyramids were built. Like,
Yes.
it's such a tremendous span of time. It's unfreaking real. But we see
Hmm.
the compression of time effect, um, like my kids, for example. My oldest once told me that they happened to be exactly 1 month old on September 11th. And
Oh,
so to them, it happened within their lifetime, but like early infancy. So it's like barely in their lifetime. But
yeah.
from their point of view, everything from like 1999 through zero is all roughly equally distant. It's all before me.
Yeah.
Like the fall of Rome and the Challenger disaster may as well have happened 1 year apart.
I mean, it's it's true to me when I think about history. I think in a lot of ways I think about how fresh are the bodies, which is kind of a morbid thing.
It's kind of a vaguely serial killer vibe, but I mean, I'm here for it.
Well, yes, because I once upon a time I worked at an excavation of a Roman military fortress in the Czech Republic, in the southern part of the Czech Republic, uh, and on that hill where the fortress was, they also had there were a lot of fighting during the Second World War, and also the war that followed because of Soviet Russia, etc. And in modern day, there is a vineyard on this hill, and there's a part of the hill that's not, there are no vines growing there because it's a mass grave from like 1950 or something like that. and it still smells.
Ooh.
Yes. And I prefer my dead people to be dead and not smelly.
Right. I've heard I've studied forensics, did a pathology unit in my pre-law program, and there's a number of people who are like, yeah, cold cases are better because by then the bodies have stopped stinking.
Hmm.
Theoretically.
Theoretically, yeah. Yeah, it all depends on the soil and so forth. And
Hmm.
that's what's so spectacular about Egypt, that the climate there has preserved so much. There is no there is no culture that we know so much about and that's so much preserved from uh, as ancient Egypt. And still, in spite of that or because of it, it's also the culture that has most misinformation about it. One tiny what's that? Toolbox. Oh, right.
Hidden
my,
pieces and
my
things.
cuddle squirrel is looking for the toolbox.
Aha.
Not my toolbox.
And if you want to go look for a toolbox, head on over to adamandeve.com and enter code word Brentley at checkout for 50% off almost any one item, 6 free movies, 3 free gifts, and free shipping on the whole order. Not my ad, stolen from
I
our friend
prefer
at Uncle
Lover's
Pate.
Lane.
So we're not actually sponsored. That is a pirated ad, but I fucking love that ad.
I prefer Lover's Lane though.
Yeah.
So was that stay
Oh,
together, play together.
it helps
Uh,
for sure. Oh goodness. So on
That's why I
that
don't
note,
have
I
anybody
suppose
because I don't play.
what we were originally talking about with the
Yes.
first show last week was
Yeah.
how some of the goddesses scared mortal men so severely they felt compelled to construct the patriarchy, to put men in charge and keep women oppressed so that women couldn't hurt them. They were desperately afraid of the power women are capable of. But there are relationships amongst the gods as well. I mean, that's where many of the new gods even come from, is they have
Yes.
divine parents and such. How how can we reconcile this concept of divine beings sharing power while the mortals are in a patriarchal authoritarian structure?
So this is something that's very interesting about ancient Egypt. I mean, what could I not say that about when it comes to ancient Egypt? Uh, the fact that out of all of the ancient cultures that we know about, ancient Egypt was uh, had a very high rate of equality between the sexes or the genders. So I don't know how to say that. Uh,
Either works in this case.
okay, good. So they which which hinges on this. For I can give an instance. Uh, in front of the law, men and women were treated equally. They had equal rights to inheritance. They had equal rights when it came to marriages and divorce, and they could open their own businesses. They could do things that I recently learned American women's couldn't do until the freaking 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, that which is wild. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of it comes from this idea um, of balance, the divine balance, which in ancient Egypt is portrayed as the goddess Ma'at. It's spelled Maat, Maat, and it has to do with it. It's a concept of divine and not universal, cosmic order. The things that things are how they are. So there she is. She has her pretty little feather,
Hell yeah.
and she's yellow because gods are their skin is gold.
The gold.
Ah, I thought it
Yes.
was like just inspiration for The Simpsons or something. Apparently, this is
They-
the feather of
I
truth.
was saying they were glowing.
yes. There she is. That image is I absolutely love it. It's
Yes,
from the
beautiful.
tomb of Nefertari, who was the principal wife, the Chemetweret of Ramesses II, aka Ramesses the Great. Her
Wow.
tomb is beautiful. It's stunning, absolutely stunning. I haven't seen it in real life, mm, but I did write my thesis on it.
Yeah, a couple of these have virtual reality recreations. You don't even need a
Yeah.
VR headset. You can just punch them up on your phone and like just use your phone like a window and look
Mhm.
around.
Yep.
It's I don't know if that specific tomb is one of those that's available that way, but
Mm,
there are a
not
bunch. It's
yet.
pretty cool.
Yeah, not yet because so that's um, the Theban mapping project. A American Egyptologist known as Kent Weeks, who has instigated this project, and it aims to preserve the the uh, the tombs in the Valley of the Kings, primarily by not attributing, giving so that there are issues with having millions, literally millions of people going into these graves each and every year. They come in with their sweaty, derelict human bodies, and it ruins the decorations in these tombs. I was in Egypt in 2007, uh, which means that I had the opportunity to go into Tutankhamun's actual tomb, which you no longer are allowed to do. They have built an exact replica. 3 seconds.
Ooh.
I got kisses on my forehead.
Aha! I was like, it's not something I said. What's going on?
No, I'm like, what did I say funny?
It's Sut is going over to the old apartment to fix some things, and he was just saying bye to me, and I'm so ridiculously in love.
No, that's really sweet. I mean, a part of the pedantic professional part of me, not to overly alliterate as I often did, never mind. Is like, dang it, Soot, but I don't have the heart for it because it's so damn cute.
It is. Everyone should have a cuddled squirrel.
It's probably true. I make do with my cuddly chicken nugget dinosaur and rainbow off-brand Blaha. I mean, it's a meter long plush shark. It's pretty cuddly.
It's pretty cuddly.
You know, we work with what we've got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the tomb of Tutankhamun were in such a bad state that they have built an exact replica uh, outside, not outside of the Valley of the Kings, but very to the side of it, which you can now visit instead. And another project is this the 3D modeling, but today it's just the Valley of the Kings, and Nefertari is her tomb is in the Valley of the Queens, uh,
Huh.
which I have not had the opportunity to visit, but oh, I want to so
I
badly.
hadn't even heard about that. Now, granted, Egypt isn't my specialty, but we hear bits and pieces, especially around the community who's very interested in ancient myths and so forth.
Mhm.
I didn't know Egypt had a Valley of the Queens. Were they
Oh,
that equality oriented that the queens got equal treatment kind of thing?
I mean, yes. Um, so the burial practices are, again, it varies throughout time. Um, but the Valley of the Kings and the Valley of the Queens were established during the New Kingdom era, which starts around 1500 BCE and goes on to um, around 1250. Wait, yeah, the Bronze Age collapse, and a bit after that. And that's the time era where women becomes has the most influence. There are most of the queens that rose to power, and actually became kings, or uh, donned the full regalia of kingship, like Hatshepsut, who is my personal favorite. And also, as we now know, which we didn't know 15 years ago, Nefertiti, who was the consort of Akhenaten, and Akhenaten being the father of Tutankhamun. Um, so during that time era, you have uh, I'm trying to like, so this is the issue with having ADHD and also PTSD. Things become very jumbled very quickly, and I don't really know if I'm making any sense about 98% of the time.
Well, I'm
Uh,
I'm following, but that's
oh,
probably because my brain runs a similar thing where like every single thing brings up 10 branching things and then I'll jump from one and then change to another and then we come to another intersection and it just
yes, yes,
it's an adventure.
and all of these things, like, they they are still connected to Sekhmet, which we started with.
Yes.
And I'm still having things in my head popping around about her and her role and so forth. But we
So,
were talking about equality. That's where we
yes.
were. Uh,
Yeah, they had
and
their
the
separate but
cons
equal valley.
exactly. And what we should realize is the fact that as the pharaoh, uh, so Egypt was the most equal society of the ancient times. Uh, Especially if you compare with like Greece, or even worse, Rome.
Oof.
Rome was not a good time to be a woman unless you were in the family of the Kaiser. Uh, Emperor is the English word. Uh, so where were I? I'm so sorry.
Egypt was much more equal among the ancient empires.
Yes, yes, and it's all based on this uh, equality, and not equality, the balance, that the idea that there is a balance in the universe that needs to be upheld. You see that all of this, as when I was talking about Sekhmet, I mentioned that she has a consort, uh, which is also something that you have. Um, the how to formulate it. Ancient gods are very human. They, which I guess is something where like the God of Abraham differs, because he is very uh, not ephemeral, not that big.
Transcendental, but that's a more recent convention. Like
Exactly, and
back
you
in the old
see in
days,
Old Testament, and like in Genesis, you see how he's much more of a physical being than he is later on, and in the New Testament, um, where he's very non-corporeal. Um, but the ancient gods tends to be much more human-like. They have human needs. They have human temper, and they have humor and a lot of anger. Um, but
oh
if
yeah,
you maneuver them correctly, they probably won't kill you.
probably. Well, that's what the priesthoods were for, was to help people interface with the divine beings without definitely being murdered.
Exactly. And in Egypt, being a priest had nothing to do with being uh, extra spiritual or having a calling or anything like that. It was a job. You were employed by the pharaoh as his or her stand-in. Um, the main for to to go back a couple of sentences. The main god uh, in the New Kingdom, or during the New Kingdom, was the god Amun. He was the king of the gods, and he was worshipped in Thebes, in the Karnak temple there. Uh, and being just like humans, he also, of course, needed what every human needs. Not everyone, but as a general, meaning he needed to be dressed, he needed food, he needed entertainment, and he needed sex. So in the New Kingdom era, there was a position known as um, God's wife of Amun, and the person who held that position was uh, one daughter of the ruling king, the pharaoh, and this position was at one point in time held by Hatshepsut, which probably had a lot to do with why she managed to become to become the full king. That there's no real word for queen in ancient Egyptian. You're
Right.
you,
Like there've been women pharaohs who
yeah,
went by king because it wasn't a gendered term like king and queen are in English. It was just the
exactly,
word for ruler.
exactly. And Hatshepsut is uh, the the first who goes all the way, so to speak. And a lot of that had her ability, because this, so this is where things become very complicated. Uh, Despite this equality, if we are to put like modern terms on it, uh, it ancient Egypt is still a patriarchal society
Mhm.
where part of this balance, that the natural order ma'at, is that a man is the ruler. But if you don the regalia, that makes you the ruler. It's not what you, if you have a uterus or boobs or a penis or whatever, that's not what makes you the ruler. It's not even your actual heritage necessarily.
Okay.
It's wearing the regalia of kingship.
Uh, so it's literally the costume.
Yes, very much
Amazing.
so. Very much so. Uh,
But that's a tradition that we've kept across the many centuries as well. Like it doesn't matter if you're actually competent to rule, if you have the fancy hat with all the shiny
exactly.
gems and whatnot, like so, then
Yep.
you're in charge.
Yes. And you kind of look like Queen Victoria now.
This isn't the best hat for this, but
No,
you know,
but it
I work with
works.
what I've
Oh,
got.
hey, Umber. Yeah. Hey, Umber.
Yeah. I don't know. It fits better on like I should have just worn this one today because it's got the blue flowers, so it matches. But
Mhm.
like I said, I am not feeling well this morning, so I was just the fact I am on camera is a win.
I'm happy for you. I was about to say, but that's a weird thing to say. I just feel a huge need to say, uh, I'm very sorry to everyone. I am not my best self today either. I'm not my worst because I can speak, which
That is a plus.
it's a plus. But as an Arctic fox says, it's all about the hat.
Yes, that's why I
Mhm.
do not yield the power.
Yeah,
So
fancy hat.
isn't
I mean,
it?
popes.
it
Popes have a fancy hat too.
mhm. So isn't it strange that even though we have an untouched royal tomb from a legit king, one thing that we do not have from ancient Egypt is a crown.
That's right. They didn't really do that. They had like the thing that looked kind of like hair, and then they had the beard thing.
They did have crowns, many of them, but we haven't found a single one.
Oh.
And the reason for that is, of course, under speculation or up for speculation. Uh, but it might be that that was the thing that went from one ruler to the next. While you brought everything that you had in life with you to the tomb, that was the thing that was not that was inherent in inherited.
That's
Th
yeah,
it was
inheritance.
inherited, so because, like, that's much like crowns today, for example. Like if
Yes,
when Queen Elizabeth died, she didn't get buried with the crown jewels because those are attached to the country, not her personally.
yes. Though she was also not buried with her dogs and her dresses and her bed and her food and onions for ice.
I mean, onions you see layers, I guess. It's how you put it. You know, we were talking about that in the side chat on Bree's show Live from the Hive this past Saturday. She was covering in I think it was the I forget which segment, possibly Weak and Weird, but possibly one of the others, about the phenomenon of the entombed animal phenomenon, where people would like break open sealed limestone and there'd be a toad inside that was still alive after being in there for who knows how many decades or hundreds or even thousands of years. And it became a thing. It was sort of like quack science, but also like it got verified a couple of times in a couple different ways. And I was wondering,
You can't say a toad and then say it's quack science.
okay, that's fair. I'm mixing my metaphors, technically speaking, but like if that is something that's at least based on a real thing, could ancient cultures like the ancient Egyptian rulers have known about that and were thinking something along those lines when they entombed pets and whatnot with their masters?
Known about what?
The entombed animal phenomenon, where
Hmm.
apparently it only works with reptiles, but maybe they didn't know that part. I don't know. It was just idle speculation as to whether the burying of pets was because they knew about the entombed phenomenon, and so they expected the animals to come back to life when the person whose tomb it was did.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I would say there is a simpler explanation because they didn't just uh, bury you with like your favorite pets. They buried you with uh, if you needed a walking stick, you got your walking stick with you in your tomb. They buried you with food and clothes, and so everything, because the afterlife was thought of as an ideal version of this life on Earth. It like the perfect utopia with no disease and everything is just golden cherries on top. Um, I think it's more this idea that you need whatever you had in this life, you're going to want in your next life, and a pet that you've been very close with is obviously a part of that.
That makes sense.
Okay, so it was similar to the modern concept that this world is fallen, but in the next life you get to go to a paradise version, but you're
Kind of,
still
yeah,
you.
yeah. You're still you. You're still expected to do uh, work, for instance, which is why we have all these beautiful little Ushapti figurines that are tiny figures. And I think Tutankhamun was buried with like 400 something of them, which is more than you really need because you only need one a day. Uh, who are expected to Ushapti means answerer. It's the one that answers. So when your name is called, like it's your it's your day to go and help out with uh, digging irrigation ditches. Uh, Nah, I'm dead and I don't want to do that. But then your little Ushapti comes up and says, I'm here. There they are. They are exquisite.
Okay, so it's sort of like the concept of substitution, like during in the United States during war times prior to the emancipation, if a slave owner or a slave owner's child got drafted for the army, they could send a servant, a
Yeah.
slave, in their place to do their military service. A similar
Yes.
concept. They could. I don't want to go dig latrines, so my little action figure is going to go do it for me.
Yes. And since it carries your name and your likeness, it works as an not intermediary but a substitute. Yes, I
Okay.
see uh, Milwaukee atheist in the chat says there is spells written exactly. There are spells written on them. Uh,
How does the concept of spells work in that cultural context? Like we just kind of assume when we hear spells like either a golem spell like is described in Genesis or witches chanting over cauldrons and such. But like is it kind of the same? Is it substantially different? Like
oh, I would say it's kind of is it kind of the same?
okay, so we're like just talking about general supernaturalness. And to be clear, virtually every culture has that has developed language to a certain point has had some subgroup that's thought that the use of words in a certain way makes supernatural things happen. There's always been a
Yes,
concept of cheat codes.
yes. Uh, Words used. So here we're going back to the language thing, where words when they are written, how shall I formulate this? They become real. If you write down something and speak it out, it's the whole thing with pta again. You speak the word and it becomes real. So I think when I hesitated earlier, it has to do with like, what's the difference between a spell and a prayer?
Mhm.
Hmm. See the
There is
same thing to
none.
me.
Exactly that there is none. Uh, so
I
it's
might suggest it's a matter of agency. Like when you think of your classical worker of magic, be it a sorcerer or warlock or what have you, it's a person trying to exercise their own will on reality. Whereas with a prayer, it's like, I'm not exercising my will. I'm asking these powerful divine beings to exercise their will and intercede on my behalf. It's sort of it's the same thing, but with extra steps because it's an invocation of another power, which is a decision to make, but then it's leaving it up to that other power about whether to make the magic happen or not, or do something else, or who knows what.
right. Yeah, because we have a tendency to put our westernized, Christian influenced use of language onto these ancient cultures, and we can't really do that. We need to not exercise. Uh,
Ethnocentrism?
Uh, when you remove something,
Uh, anachronism?
expel, not like
Extract.
Extraction?
ex, ex. Oh, damn it!
I said
Förbannade hjärna.
extraction, but it's not that.
Exsanguinate. I don't know. We're playing hangman over here.
We
It's a
need
fun
to
time.
to remove our biases. I think is the best way I can say it
Yeah.
without saying what I was supposed to say.
I hate when that
Uh,
happens. I do that all the time.
Yeah. But that is the hardest part of history though, is when we come across concepts, we go, "Oh, I know what that is."
hmm
And often we're very wrong, and it just doesn't
Yeah.
occur to us that there's a difference between the thing that we're encountering and the thing that we think of in the modern time. And we see it in like all kinds of ancient myths. Like I
hmm
heard it's not the best example, but it's the first one that comes to mind. The story of the destruction of Jericho. Like we know historically how it's described in the Bible is not what actually happened, but
Yeah.
someone was making the case that from a historian's perspective, if you take like the fact that it's a written version of an oral story that was handed down and you trace it back through the different customs and colloquialisms of the people at the time, when they talked about the walls being brought down, it could have meant someone opened the gates. Like it could have been just a big old telephone game and people assuming the current meaning is the absolute meaning. And yeah.
Yeah, and it's something that so I talk or used at least to. I have not done it in several months due to circumstances which has to do with the fascist takeover of the US. But I used to talk a lot to people who were Hovendites and Yek, which can also be spelled yuck. So young Earth creationists. And they have oftentimes extreme difficulties to view. They're kind of polarized in the way that they're either putting the here and now onto ancient times,
Mm-hmm.
or they are basically making ancient humans into something that is uh, like imbecile toddlers who aren't able to do anything. And that's of course not the case. People in the ancient era were had the same faculties as we do. They just didn't have the accumulation of knowledge that we have today. Uh,
Even then
and
it's iffy. Like one of my favorite go-to examples is indoor plumbing. The ancient Romans
yep,
had it. We didn't
yep,
get it back until the late 1800s. So that was
right,
one technology that the ancients had that for a very long time we didn't.
yep.
They were savages.
Barbarians even or something.
Ancient Egyptians had a method for checking a pregnancy test, which
Yeah, they had that
is
too.
fully functional. I can't exactly explain it because it's biology and stuff, and that's really not my area. But it has to do with you pee on some sort of barley. Uh,
Oh yeah, it is. They pee on it.
yeah,
Certain smell, I think, caused that.
no,
Yeah, I was reading about that.
you could see whether or not it sprouted.
Grows. Yeah, if
Yeah,
you pee on it. Yeah, if you pee on it. Yeah.
and it's
Huh.
very reliable. they
Yes.
also used crocodile dung uh, as a contraceptive. So it's a bit
What?
give or take.
Yeah, yeah, bits and pieces. Okay, so I looked it
Yeah.
up. It's called the wheat and barley test. You would take
Yes.
bags of wheat seeds and barley seeds, pee on them, and then stick them in a warm place for several days. If the wheat sprouted first, then the baby would be female. If the barley sprouted first, the baby would be male. If neither sprouted at all, not pregnant. And
Yep.
while it's very clearly not an exact science, there are studies that suggest it may have been up to 70% accurate, which is not that bad considering how haphazard it sounds.
Exactly.
And I've
Exactly.
also heard something about it's the certain bird nest soup that the Asian culture would do that's supposed to cause fertility. They get
Oh,
like in the
everything
mountains or
causes
something.
fertility.
It's a certain kind of bird nest that they would tear down and eat the soup to make it to a soup. So that would help with the fertility. So yeah, I heard about that as well.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
She said
bird
you
nest
can
soup
pee a
was
frog too. That's
a
what
meme for a
Bree
little while.
says. Pee on a
Pee
frog. Pee on the
a frog or
warts.
pee on a frog.
Weed and barley and weed and barely. All right, Milwaukee got jokes over there.
If there's one thing Lawrence knows better than the Bible and the surrounding culture, it's how to blaze it properly for ritual
Yes.
significance, of course.
I'm always down for the weed and barely. Weed and barely sober. That's me. Oh
Someone
goodness.
Uh,
said, where was it?
Don't have to tell me twice. Me either.
Yeah,
Mm.
Occult Examiner said something about uh, they think the
about
Egyptians knew
DNA.
about DNA. Uh, mm, I would be very interested to know why they think that.
Yeah, it kind of depends on context, right? Like the
Exactly.
molecule DNA, probably not. Because you need like microscopes and shit to figure that part out. But the concept of a heritable something, like
Yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
have the
Oh,
concept of
goodness.
genes as inheritable characteristics for like 12,000 years. That's what
Yeah,
agriculture is founded on. You can't have agriculture without that as at least a concept, you know?
exactly. And from that perspective, they absolutely knew that, and it's also reflected in their mythology and their concept of religion and kingship and so forth. But not DNA as we know of it today.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about the legends in let's say our awful archaeology takes on things like for example, there's a certain carving in one of the museums or other that looks vaguely like a glider, and as you know, conspiracy theorists are notorious for looking at a thing and saying, hey, it looks like a thing, therefore it was that
Mhm.
thing. And so they proposed that ancient Egyptians had flight of some kind, maybe not powered flight, maybe it was a glider, maybe the pyramids were you know, standing positions for base jumping, so you could fly from Thebes to freaking Luxor or something, who knows. But like, is there a possibility that there was some kind of technology that not only did we not have, but we still haven't figured out ourselves yet, is technology?
Uh, uh, Not like that. No.
I mean, they knew how to build pyramids, which I'm told we can't. I mean, it's stacking rocks in a certain way,
I
but
mean,
there
have
is
you
more to it than that, right? Like there's the
absolutely,
architecture of the vaults and whatnot.
absolutely. At the same time, if you give a toddler some wooden blocks, the first thing they're going to build is a pyramid shape. Uh, so the inscription you're talking about, I can, let's see, what? So I saw this for the first time sometime in the 90s. I mean, we have to. Okay, can I share my screen?
You should be able to. At the bottom of our room here, you've got the mute button and the camera off button, and then the
Yeah,
next one over is the share button.
I shared it, but I think I need your permission.
I'm not seeing it in our list. Oh, here it is. Okay. It just
Yeah.
showed up.
Oh, it was tiny. Why is it so tiny? Can I make it bigger? No.
Sometimes if you hold control and then use a scroll wheel on your mouse, sometimes it'll make it bigger.
Does it work?
Okay, it looks bigger.
Yeah, good. This is the one. And I believe it's from the Osirian, which is a temple. I might misremember the exact temple, but it's a temple inscription, and sadly you can see directly on the what's going on here. You can't because I'm not using there. Maybe you can see my mouse.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, this is the what they say is a helicopter or something to that extent. And when I saw this the first time, as I said, it was sometime in the late 90s, I immediately saw what was going on, which is you have one hieroglyphic here, which is a bow, this one,
Okay.
and you have other hieroglyphs on top of the original. And here you see it used to say Seti the first, or Seti, and his son Ramses comes along and says, nope, daddy, this is my temple. I built this. I'm gonna carve my name
Oh no.
on top
Wow.
of it. And as time passes, originally it probably wasn't this messed up, but as time has gone by and the sand from the surrounding desert have eroded it. It's become this, which looks like a some sort of aircraft. And
And because it
if you
happens to look like a thing that we have, we're like, oh, it must be the thing.
exactly, but if you think on it for 3 seconds, first of all, uh, hieroglyphics is not pictograms. The
Yeah.
text here doesn't say arm holding thingy, another arm with a quail chick. It says Ramses, Seti.
Yeah. That Ramses was a bit of a dick.
He was a bit of a dick. He very much
Very
was.
much so.
And it's also in what we see here is just zoomed in on that image or that part of the text, but it's an entire text. So if you were to read the entire inscription, I don't have it in front of me now, so I can't do that. Uh, it doesn't make sense to all of a sudden have a freaking helicopter in the text. If I were to just guess, because of how these things often are, it probably says something uh, built by Ramesses, the great sun god, may live and prosper and eternal life, yada yada yada. Gifts be upon him. He's the greatest, and whoa, we love him. That's the worst impression of an Egyptian inscription you will ever hear from anyone. But
Ramses slept here.
right, and it doesn't make sense then that all of a sudden you have this freaking helicopter in there. It's like the if you have heard about the Dendera lights.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
It's another popular one from Egyptian inscriptions, if I remember correctly. It's a lotus that looks vaguely like an Edison style light bulb.
Very, very, very vaguely. It's also true that if you read the text that accompanies this inscription, it tells you exactly what it is. And what it is an ancient Egyptian creation myth. It's right freaking there on the wall, telling you what this thingamajig is supposed to be. And people are like, nah, they had lighting. So okay, where is the power source?
Well, it was a
Where is
Baghdad battery, obviously.
Dang it! You
You've
found
seen
me
the
out.
Flintstones, so you
Yeah,
know
I
how they
mean, it's
powered
plugged
it.
in.
You see the Flintstones, so I mean that's just it shows you how they do it.
So all of this stuff is basically just it's what the creationists always do. It's they're cherry picking. It's literally taking a verse out of context, except in this
Yes.
case, it's got a visual I mean, all of our written language has a visual component. You know, the letters on the
Mhm.
sides of the screen, they're just a visual component. Like the letter V in vibrator, it doesn't have its own intrinsic meaning. It's an arbitrary assigned meaning through cultural convention.
What is that? What is vibrator?
Oh, it just happened to be the top comment at the time
Yeah, I
at
know.
the top of
I
the
know.
other
I was
side.
teasing. I was listening. I was reading Theo's comment as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was slightly side railed by
Is it
uh,
a rattlesnake?
snake-driven vibrator. And
It's
if
an
you
anaconda.
want a
someone called
snake-driven
Frisbee.
vibrator, head to
It's an
adamandeve.com.
anaconda slick.
Oh goodness. Oh goodness. No, we are awful humans.
But you gotta love us though.
I mean, I hope so. I hope, you know, we're trying to build a community that people like to be a part of, that, you know, is somewhat educational, somewhat entertaining, somewhat we're surviving together this post-modern hellscape. All those
Hmm.
things. Yes.
If you can't joke about it, then what can you do?
Yeah. Well, do you suppose that's a big part of why so many people and cultures even look towards the past, this sort of false nostalgia for a time that they didn't actually live through or wasn't like they think it was? This artificially constructed history is, I mean, we've known a lot of cults. Like there's still Egypt cults today that aren't
Hmm.
really like ancient Egypt, but
Nope.
they cherry pick a few bits and pieces and they're like, ah, this was the ideal way for humans to live, even though they've
Hmm.
made up their own fan fiction version.
Yeah, I actually, one of the most embarrassing things of my life, and I'm now going to tell entire freaking universe about it. When I
All
was
yep.
in Egypt in 2007, I had the opportunity to visit a bookstore, but we had very little time. And I picked out two books, uh, one being Gods and Myths of Ancient Egypt, and the other one, I, you might not hear me entirely now. I don't know if we're going to lose contact. Can you still hear me, perhaps?
So far, we're
No.
good. Yeah.
Oh, good. Because I went into the living room. I have such a huge apartment. I have more than one room.
What? What's that like?
I
It's
know. What is that
I'm telling you,
like?
we have
I live in
two
a hut.
bathrooms, and I
Ooh.
yes, we have two bathrooms, and I use the smaller one because the bigger one is so freaking huge. It kind of scares me.
Can I move in?
Yeah, so the other one is the Book
Okay.
of Egyptian Ritual.
Okay.
And I I chose it. I chose it. I chose it.
Yeah,
Chose it.
chose.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Uh, Based on the title, and didn't really have time to look into it. And I did a mistake of. There were another couple, another I say another couple. I was there with my family, and so my parents and my brother, and there was a couple there who asked which books I had bought because they knew of my education and trusted that I would have uh, the wherewithal to choose factual books. This
In
book is not it.
it's one of those silver raven wolf kind of looking things like, oh yeah, the ancient Egyptians believed in spiritual powers, and you could invoke like smoke a lotus or something, and you could move the blocks to form the pyramid or something like that.
It's it's instructions like light the incense. Second participant, the fire is laid, the fire shines. The incense is laid on the fire, the incense shines. Your perfume comes to us, O incense. Parts of this is from religious texts, but it's made up into something that we have no way of knowing. It's some sort of mix woo with Wiccan and throw in some Egypt gods and pretend as if though we are reenacting actual religious practices.
The New Age woo, it contaminates all the ancient stuff. Like there's
It
so much of it
does.
is Celtic tradition and Norse traditions.
I was going to say the Norse tradition is, I think, perhaps the worst or the most infected.
The way it's been mangled and appropriated, like there's
Hmm.
so much of the white supremacist culture is like for Valhalla and the West or whatever. I'm like,
Hmm.
that's not how that works.
I mean, to 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 connect back to uh, the topic of male and female and patriarchy and such, there is this failing of people who, how do you say that, they're kind of LARPing the Viking Age. Uh, they're men with beards uh, who are like, I'm a manly man, I'm a lumberjack, and I'm okay. That sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and they're very much into Odin or Thor. Um, they have no idea that, yes, some of the slain on the battlefield went to Valhalla, to Odin, but only half of them. The other half went to Freya and her hall, Folkvang. She was actually the one who chose first. So she chose the best of the slain. And the other half Odin got.
That makes sense. Odin's
Mhm.
entire thing was making do with the leftovers.
Exactly. Those are also the type of people. I was actually kind of appalled a couple of years ago here in Sweden. I don't know how much you or other people know about these things, and that always kind of trips me up because I don't want to like over explain something. But you have a town or it's an island in Mälaren outside of Stockholm uh, known as Birka. Birka held a city or a town in during the Viking Age, and there have been ongoing excavations there since the mid 1800s. There is a grave there that's become known for being the richest warrior grave ever found in Northern Europe. It has everything. There are swords and arrows and horses and saddle and armor and everything. It's insanely rich. So when it was found in the late 1800s, uh, they deemed it a male who was buried there because of all of the grave goods.
Yeah, like we were talking
Uh,
about earlier, people projecting their concept of things onto the past. They're saying, oh, it's
e-
manly stuff as we see it, so it must have been a man back then.
exactly. And lo and behold, a couple of years ago, I believe, mm, shortly before the pandemic, if I'm not misremembering, somewhere there, 2018, 2019, the bones were re-examined. And even though there are very few, because the soil at Birka is very bad for preservation, so there aren't many, there aren't much of her left. But what is left is her pelvic, and we now know that it's actually a woman. And people went freaking insane and roaring about uh, PC and uh, I mean, take your favorite MAGA nonsense, and it was right there.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just thinking, okay, if you just look at this from a reasonable perspective, we know that women has been present in every single war that we know of. There has been women participating in the battle. We're not talking about like entire armies made of women, but they have been part of the armies. There has been women. Um, we have Valkyries as part of the legends. Uh, we have writings from Ibn Fadlan, who was a what's it called? Not the historian, but an emissary, maybe.
A prophet, perhaps?
No, 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 no. He worked for the Caliph of Baghdad and uh, traveling around, writing down what he saw and what happened, and reported back.
Okay, I guess that might be something like a journalist slash historian. A lot of the ancient historians just wrote the stuff they saw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he was one of them, and he's one of the few contemporary written sources that we have of the Vikings, because they didn't. They of course had the runes, but they weren't used to write history or uh, historical accounts. So uh, he describes a battlefield where he's like gobsmacked, because it turns out that some of the men, the fallen men, aren't actually men, they're women.
Hmm.
And he's like taken aback by this. They even let their women fight in their battles. Um, and you also have the science saying that this is a woman, and still there are people who just cannot accept when every single, either way you look at it, you can only come up with, yeah, it's a woman. And maybe the fact that her grave is so richly um, um, not decorated, but it's so rich, might be because she is a woman.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Conceivably, I'd be more inclined to suspect, and again, it's purely speculation on my part, that she was a really great warrior, and so they honored her like they would any other really great warrior. But
Yes.
it's like with so many things, it's really hard to say for sure. But yeah, it's fascinating how the patriarchal cultures have such a hard time dealing with it.
Hmm.
We Caesar's historians, when he was fighting the Gauls, he had a very hard time handling the fact that they had women warriors. They were like, "Oh my
Yeah.
God, we're being killed by women."
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
what is new is still going on today where they can accept that a woman could be president. So,
Yeah.
it's never going to change, sadly.
Well, that's the thing. It's like that's the new thing, and they complain about, "Oh, this PC woke DEI nonsense is trying to rewrite history," while they themselves are actively trying to rewrite the actual history. And we see it,
Exactly.
as you said, in every culture. Like, we can think of most people who are pirate enthusiasts can think of at least 3 famous women pirates. And
Hmm.
granted, our language is a little bit more diversified than was available back at the time, so it's harder to differentiate who is a trans man and who was a woman but had to dress like a man in Mulan fashion, perhaps, in order to do
Exactly.
what needed doing. But it doesn't really matter because that's trying to use the modern context to view people trying to live their lives back then. And erasing that doesn't change the reality. It just creates the fascist fiction that how people live right now is the only way people can live.
I mean, we don't even fully know the what constituted a man and a woman? Which were the cultural markers that were used in these prehistoric cultures, specifically the prehistoric cultures, but even the 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 historic, like ancient Egypt. What was this, what made a woman a woman? What made a man? And how important was it? We don't really know, because that's very seldom what you write about. You write about big events, you write about politics and war, and oftentimes you don't. I mean, we do today, but that's also because we have computers and everyone can read and write. Well,
Yeah, it's a
in
little
Sweden,
easier now.
everyone can read and write.
Yeah, I'm thinking of how in the story of Muhammad's conquest, particularly of Jerusalem, his the head of his army, his supreme commander, was a woman, but we only know that because the people who are writing stuff down made a point of saying so because they wanted
Yeah.
to show how the community, the Islamic group, were much more equal than the cultures they were replacing
Hmm.
aggressively. Like, oh, look, there's equality in our community. Don't you want to join our community? Kind of thing. But if they hadn't pointed that out, if you left out that little section of the passage, you just hear, general this and commander that. And from a modern perspective, you might just think male commander.
Yeah. So the uh, the Birka warrior woman, she we don't know, uh, because there is so little left of her skeleton. We we don't really know if she had any battle scars. But so of course, sure, it might be that she was put there as a um, what's the word, uh, like a token,
Mhm.
for the afterlife. But if we go into to it, if it had been a man, we wouldn't be looking for all of these excuses and ways to find how can we square that it's a female skeleton in a grave filled with all of this military equipment. People would just, yeah, it's a man, it's a warrior. But
Well,
because it's
that's
not a man, it's somehow we need to find all of these. Oh, but maybe she was just appointed to be one and it was ritual, yada, 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 instead of looking to the most simple explanation, which is she's a warrior.
yeah, that's an important thing. This fiction of there being two genders is a modern convention. Like,
Yeah,
oh, warrior, that's a man thing. All men are warriors and only warriors are men. Like, that's not how anything works. Every single person knows a male who is
This,
not a warrior by any stretch of the imagination. It's clearly false, but they still adhere to it. In the ancient world, there were so many cultures where gender didn't even work that way. What we would today consider to be a gender was more like a profession, like you were a warrior or a
yeah,
shipwright. Like that wasn't just what you did for a living, it was the way you lived your life.
yeah,
What we might consider gender. Like, oh, no, you can't do this because this is a thing that's only for warriors. Or you can't do this because this is a thing that's only for shepherds or priests. I mean, hell,
yeah.
that one you see in every fucking holy book. Only the priest can go into the most sacred back room.
Hmm. And the
My
God's
question,
wife for
my
the sassy
question
time.
to my question is some of these people who are talking about how women cannot be leadership or warriors and things like that. And many other animal kingdoms, the women, the female are. They're the
Yep,
leaders of the group
yep,
and they're dominant.
In many cases, yeah.
Yeah.
To bring it
So
back
how come
to
humans, we're animals too? Yes, we are.
Mhm.
So why can't that be a case of us?
Yeah, that's
Um,
why, because the patriarchy demonstrates the fearfulness of men, in my opinion, because the fact that this thing has to be declared rather than demonstrated, the fact it has to be enforced rather than just allowed, shows that it is unnatural, shows that in allowed to make our own way with our own devices and what comes naturally to us, we would either have a relatively equitable civilization or perhaps a matriarchal leaning one, which makes sense
yep,
because in every freaking culture, women are the source of life.
exactly.
It just it's artificial. It's imposed on top of things because the men who had power at the time were terrified of losing power to women. And so they constructed the whole thing. And as an example of that, we can go back to ancient Egypt. There was one of the famous queens. She took on the role of king because queen as a term didn't exist at the time. It was just ruler. And so many of her depictions had her with like the beard looking thing because that was
Yeah, that's Hatshepsut.
yeah. And
okay.
then she
Yeah.
was erased from history immediately after her rule, something like
Mm,
that.
well, not immediately. Uh, it's at least 20 years. So the original idea that I believe it was Philinders Petrie who came up with. He's a famous Egyptologist from the 1800s. Uh, was that her successor, Thutmose III, had, upon her death, immediately erased, and that there were some sort of animosity between the two. That is not the case. It took at least 20 years, and as of recently, and I'm speaking like the last maybe 2 years. Oh, there is Der El Bari. That temple is so it's it's the most it's the most beautiful thing. It's incredible. Uh, sorry, I love it so much. It's probable that she was erased because they didn't want an issue with succession, because there were, just as with Tutmosis III, uh, that there wasn't a clear succession when his time came to an end, and they wanted to prevent there to be a to give ideas that this was something that you could do, because it was a so Hatshepsut was the oldest daughter of Thutmosis I and his uh, primary wife, and uh, they didn't have any sons. So the oldest of his sons were the one who became Thutmosis II. But in that time in Egyptian history, it was thought that kingship was, because kingship was so closely connected to divinity, or
Mhm.
basically semi-divine. Uh, you 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 inherited it from the mother. you inherited the God part of your being from the mother. So Hatshepsut's mother had this pure gene, but to the coming pharaoh Tutmosis II didn't. So they married. They had one child, a daughter, who died in her teens, probably. Tutmosis II dies quite early on, and he only has one son, and that's Tutmosis III. But Tutmosis III is just a toddler. And there was this tradition that the mother of the coming king, if he were not of age yet, she would step in and become not a co-ruler, but a what's the word? The person behind the throne.
Ah, the
So
secret power, the chief
yes,
advisor, I guess.
basically, yeah. Because even though they were Nimrods in ancient times, as we all know, they understood that toddlers cannot rule. It doesn't matter how divine they are. So
Regent.
regent. Thank you.
I need more
Thank you.
coffee. It was in there somewhere though.
So
I need some more
um,
too.
Hatshepsut becomes regent. She maneuvers things to become regent. And Tutmosis III is shipped off, has some negative connotations with it, but he's raised in the army, which further speaks to the fact that this idea that there were animosity between the two, and Tutmosis III had some sort of oh, that bitch, she stole my throne. That doesn't really hold any water when you think he had the entire freaking army behind him. It doesn't work really. But hey, my suit came home. Where was I? Yeah, they become co-rulers, but it
Okay.
is had so he is the pharaoh, but she is also the pharaoh, and she's the primary pharaoh, I would say. She's the one donning the false beard, which, oh damn it, why can't I remember? It has a special name and I can't remember it, and have I have lost my dictionary, my ancient Egyptian dictionary. It's very annoying. I think it's the Knitfolk. They have stolen it because I have moved and they are upset. It has a special name. Either way, it doesn't matter. I think it's very funny though.
Pastiche?
What?
Pastiche or pastiche, something like that.
No, that's something you do in art.
Yeah, it doesn't sound right to me, but that's what Google's popping up. It's not that important.
No, but and she's the one who dons the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt. She's the one taking care of affairs and doing all of the um, um, uppgifter, the duties of the ruler, while Thutmose III, who subsequently is become known as the Napoleon of ancient Egypt, because he became very, very successful in military conquest when he became king. And I have no idea how all of this connects to anything, but here we
You know
are.
more than me on this topic, though.
It's an adventure. But we do have to wrap up soon. This, for those of you watching who want to continue to ride the live chat train, this show will redirect you over to our friend the Kentucky Atheist, he's been doing a Monday, well, now it's a Monday show with Laura. His are they actually married? I never quite got a solid answer on that.
He
It's not
always
think
he
important.
always
so.
call her his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, it'll go
Okay.
over
Because I know
to
they
Joe's
have a
show
son,
with
Noah.
Laura, and yeah, they'll be starting as we wrap up. But before we go, um, looking up at the Lady Pharaoh,
Hatshepsut.
yes, it brought me this image of her as a sphinx, and that reminded me of how we
Hmm.
started with the
Yeah.
lion-headed goddess. This is sort of an
Yes.
inverse of that. It's a lion with the head of a pharaoh. Is
Yes.
Yes.
there a relationship? Like, is this a minotaur centaur kind of thing? Is there a reason why they use a lion's body with the pharaoh's head as opposed to the goddess who had a human body with a lion's head?
There probably is, in the sense that the pharaoh, the role of the pharaoh was always connected to uh, a couple of animals, primarily the lion and the bull. And the idea is that they, you, for instance, the pharaoh used to wear uh, the tail of a bull as part of the regalia. And the idea is that you take on the animal powers, the animal characteristics. So when you see a lion with a human head, what you have the force, the animalistic force of the lion, but it's controlled by the human, uh, not senses, because they didn't really know what the brain was for,
Right.
but
The
it,
personality, perhaps.
yeah. So if you switch it around, you understand that the suddenly it's the animal part that's in charge with, for instance, Sekhmet. So Sekhmet was a goddess connected to warfare, uh, and pestilence and the plague, which
Yes.
means that she was also in control of healing. She also has a very close, oh, there she is. She is so beautiful.
Yes.
It's pretty nifty.
Hmm. And you might see I have the kitty cat with the boobies in front, but
Yeah.
it's on the sides. There are, that's Hatshepsut. It's a,
Okay. Yeah, I saw images of this when I was looking her up.
mhm, it's a
It's
red
pretty
granite.
cool.
It is. It's, and I constantly, I become overwhelmed with this awe when I see these. They are so beautifully made, so gracile and expressive and lifelike. And this is a woman who lived 3,500 years ago.
And that's pretty fucking cool.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Man, this has been amazing. I've really enjoyed myself. I really didn't say anything because I was learning a lot. You are amazing, Deviant Outcast. I really thank
Thank
you for
you.
coming on and talking with us. And I wish
I'm
I,
so
yeah.
glad to hear that, because I have the entire time been like, what the freak are you doing? What are you talking about?
No,
Does
I
this
know,
make
no, no.
sense?
You didn't. It did to me. It did to me. I
Good.
really enjoyed this.
Thank
But I
you.
wish we could continue this conversation. But we all have to get ready for work and other people have to do other things.
Yeah.
But man, this has been an amazing. I was just a wildflower today as usual. But it was very enjoyable.
Good. I have enjoyed myself
Yay!
thoroughly. And
I'm so glad. And thank you for
good.
coming by, Deviant. Yep, we do have to wrap up. It's time to send everybody over to Joe.
Do we
If
have any
you're
super
into that
chats
kind
or
of thing.
anything? I think we have
What's that?
one super chat I thought that I
Did
saw.
we? I don't know. The chat's been
Yes.
broken for a minute, so I
Yeah,
haven't
because
really
it's showing
seen.
up on my iPhone, but not on the StreamYard thing.
Okay, I
Yeah.
do see one. It's yeah, our my restream chat has been broken. That's why I took it off the screen.
Okay.
It's still stuck
Okay.
at 12:30
Okay.
Eastern time, so it's rude. But I
Okay.
do see
Yeah. That's
we
what it
did get
says
a
on
super
mine
chat
too.
from Milwaukee Atheist for $2.
Thank
Thank you so much,
you.
Lawrence. And Lawrence says if you don't drop a like, Ember will take your hats. Exactly, lovers. Make
That's
sure to
why I don't
like,
have any.
subscribe,
Oh
do all the fun things. I appreciate it. And thank you so much for Lawrence. The show, I try to keep it fun, but it's also how I pay for food. So I very much appreciate that. And do join us again tomorrow, back at 11 a.m. We do this every Monday through Friday. There's other shows on the weekend too that you might enjoy. But coming up this week, we have tomorrow 100 Apologists versus Evidence. Wednesday, um, do the brain and eyeballs show, because it's eyeballs, show there's a God. Thursday, of course, is September 11th, so we're going to delve into some patriotism issues. That should be interesting. And then Friday, Feminism Friday. What are the signs of an ungodly demonic woman? So make sure you're subscribed and have
us.
notifications on. You won't want to
It's
miss
a
any of
picture of
it.
me.
That's right. It'll be pretty neat. Thank you all so much for joining us. Even though the chat's broken, interacting with you folks is why we do lives. It's so much fun. I appreciate y'all being here. And as always, we have so many members this past month, and I appreciate the hell out of you folks. One of the perks of top level membership is a shout out in the end credits. So here we go with our supporters for
Bye,
August.
everyone.
Toodles, folks.
Bye. Take
Toodles.
care.
Thanks to the top level members and Patreon supporters for August: Miranda, Karen Butcher, Jessica the Transmetal Alchemist, Robin Webster, Maya Adkison, Jimmy Tux, Ian Chen, Kalasia, The Barely Bearable Atheist, Eric Wander, Jason Jacoby, The Mighty Filbert, Hunter Biden's Laptops, Larkwright, Greg S., Neurogeezer, Mage Greywolf, Faran Salas, Poor Claire, BTF Wayne, Cosmic Kyle, Bomb Poppy, RDZ, Billy Bongsalot, Marty Cameo, My Unfinished Sock, Austin Sims, Tinker Phil, Anarchic Fox, Sabrina Page, Leslie Hutchings, Gazela Mail, Evil Toe, Right-Handed Sith, Luke, D. Murphy, Jesse, Uncle Charlie, Ryan Cultastic, Kurisu Yamato, Scott Duke, Michael Bell, Sumami, Citizen 9, S. Cook, James Nordoff, Hecklek, Velvet, KCA Randy, B.S. Lewis, Tori Swansiger, Whimsy, Kristen Slays, Godless Engineer, Fern Lovebond, Hillhugger, Karen Butcher, Milwaukee Atheists, Booba Sweat, Maya Adkison, My Unfinished Studio, Ian Chen Official, Introvert Ancom, Tilting Windmill, Christopher Tablante, Robin Webster, Proby666, Jason T, Action Squad, Robert Madewell, Doc Don Hogg, Jester, Sydney Raptor, Stardust Lilith, Jessica the Transmetal Alchemist, Jake, insert clever dapper inside joke here, Nelson, Supercritical Snake, Eli Slack, Geo Sam, Kalasia789, L Trucker, You Are Victoria, Polly Has His Cracker, Roman Weber, Leo Filius, Nikki Pare, Jasper, Yahooligan, and Pinworm. Thank you all so much I feel energized and grateful that you're part of this community. Thank you.
Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now.